Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Collector's Corner. Thank you guys all for joining us. You look super cool. So, for anybody that's new to Mona, welcome. I'll provide a little bit of notes on how to navigate if you want to learn how to like emote and all of those different things. Um, I'm Crooks. I also go by Ty. I'm your Collector's Corner host today. Yeah, Collectors Corner is a brand new segment that we are premiering today. And the inspiration behind this was basically just to celebrate collectors and some of their favorite artists in an immersive and engaging way. Collectors do so much literally to keep the space going, and to give everybody a purpose and a reason um, to stay active and put their art out. So, all of the celebrating that collectors do of artists, it's time to pay it back. So, we're really excited to be featuring Rizzle today and all of the amazing things that he's done in Web3, to learn about his journey as a Web3 OG and one of the heartbeats of these meta streets. He's always out here showing up and being active and pushing the space forward. So, also, this world is brand new. It was beautifully created by TheMattEmpire. We kind of put our heads together and created like the scope of this kind of ideal space in like 2 weeks or so. So really happy to see people in it finally today. Um, but yeah, a little bit of flow show today. If you guys have any questions or want to share any thoughts at any point, you're more than welcome to comment in the chat box, or you can unmic and talk to us that way. Um, if you do unmic, just make sure you either use headphones or mute yourself after you're done talking so there's no feedback or sound looping. Some weird stuff going on today. But yeah. So any questions, feel free to ask us. If you want to learn how to like emote and all of that, I will put that in the chat as Rizzle introduces himself. So first, we'll be back here in this in this auditorium room. And I'll press play on this video so you guys can see a little bit of Rizzle's collection as we talk to him and ask him all the questions. And then we'll take a short guided tour in the gallery room and we'll take a closer look at the six pieces that are up on display. So yeah, how are you feeling, Rizzle? What's going on?
Yo, I feel good. Just an audio check real quick. Do I sound okay?
Yep, you sound great.
Awesome. No, really appreciate it. I kicked a tweet out earlier. I've sort of been involved in crypto forever and was there for like the birth of NFTs and have been, just involved in collecting forever and never really get featured on these things because I'm never one of these like, huge collectors throwing down 100 ETH on a piece or like anything like that. But I have been able to accumulate a ton of NFTs over the past like several years of stuff that I genuinely like, and have gotten fortunate enough that some of the artists that I was able to scoop early on like did very well for themselves, and some of the projects I was able to accumulate. Uh, and Stu says Con Wolf. I have a ton of NFTs in my collection, most of which are probably worth nothing, but a lot of which hold like sentimental value in a lot of different ways. So when I was trying to like curate this collection, I really tried to select NFTs that have some meaning to me personally, and also a little bit of like historical relevancy or like a cool story or like interesting Web3 scenario behind them. So I appreciate being able to hop on and talk about my collection. I have like so many NFTs that I could do this for like a month straight.
Let's go. Amazing. Well, yeah, we're going to get into it today. And if you guys, again, have any questions or thoughts for Rizzle, feel free to share your input. Um, I'm also dropping down some hotkeys. If you guys want to learn how to navigate Mona a little better, feel free to figure it out with with this key that should be coming up one by one. Okay, let's go. So cool. You gave us a great introduction. If there's anything else about your background that you want to add in, feel free to do that. Like how long you've been in Web3, how you got introduced into Web3, and like what you've been doing here. And then tell us a little bit about some of your favorite things to collect.
Yeah, actually, can I? Is it a big deal if I flip the format menu a little bit? Because some of the NFTs that I selected for the part of the gallery that's outside tell the story a little bit, or would help sort of like tell the story a little bit.
Yes.
So, is it cool if we walk out there?
Yeah, let's go. Let's get it.
Cool. All right, follow me. Okay, so this right here, yes, by Chucky Otaku, gigantic friendly potato. This is actually my first NFT that I ever had, and so I had been involved in crypto forever since like 2012. But NFTs, I was still sort of looking at them from the sideline. And Chucky was a dude on Scent who was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna make an NFT for anyone who wants one. Give me like a subject matter." And he made me this gigantic friendly potato and sent it to me. And that was when like everything clicked for like NFTs for me. I was like, I didn't really get it at first, and then he sent this to me, and I was like, I like it. It's mine. It's in my wallet. He, made it personally for me. There's only one of them out there. And so that was like the moment I feel like where I don't know, my life honestly got changed or derailed. I guess it depends on how you look at it. And so that was like my, rabbit hole NFT inception point. I think like 2018, 2019, something around there. And so I tried for these, I had to pick 6 static images. So I tried to pick ones that were like really relevant to my like come up in Web3 or, just my experience around here. So if we look over here to the next one, this is a Wizard X piece, and Wizard X was like, I believe like one of the like unsung heroes still of Web3 today. He's like constantly out here experimenting with like different crypto art formulas and technologies. And I found this piece. I've come to know him over the years, and he's a cool guy. But before I knew him, I found this piece, and it was on sale on OpenSea for some sort of like random currency that he had found and was like experimenting, tinkering around with. And I'm like, all right, this Wizard X dude is like always out here doing weird stuff. Let me experiment with like shuffling these currencies around in order to interact with this platform in a different way, and sort of sent me down a different rabbit hole in order to start acquiring his stuff. So shout out to Wizard X, who's like always out here and doing new stuff on new platforms, and never, dude's done like collaborations with X Copy and everything, and never really got his like come up in here in terms of getting a big hype cycle or something. So Wizard X is the man, and this is a weird one in true Wizard X form, because it took some weird hurdles to get it. This one over here, as many of you know, it's a chromie squiggle. So like, Snowfro is a friend of mine. A lot of people who are early on in Web3, know each other because it was a very small community. And early on, I was fortunate enough to mint a whole bunch of chromie squiggles. So this one's like a slinky, and it's worth some sort of stupid amount of money. It's just sitting in my wallet. I don't know if I could ever like actually part with it. But for those who are around for a long time, I held an event called the MetaOlympics. It was like a 3 month long like cross metaverse Olympic style event. And we actually gave out chromie squiggles to like the top 10 finishers, which is like crazy to think about now, because they were like worthless at the time. And the floor is sitting at like something like 9 ETH constantly, or like something around there. And we were just like handing these things out like early days. So I got a few squiggles. I'm very proud to own them, both as like a friend of Snowfro, and it's like a legendary like generative landmark project if you're like a super nerd around here. Um, so if we go over here, so these are all like real early pieces I select out here. This is actually over here, this like nice looking bird here. This is Stina Jones's first piece on Super Rare, and Stina Jones has been one of my favorite artists like literally forever. So in the very beginning of NFTs, like nobody really had Stina's style and was minting. She had these like really cute like goofy creatures. and was putting those out there. And I see Fabiano in the audience. He's another one of my favorite artists who's always making cute, goofy creatures. And so Stina was one of them early on. I was just like, yo, I love Stina's work. And I got this first super rare piece. It's her first ever super rare piece. I think I have her like third and seventh or something too. But it was like, it was so insane. Like early on, like there was no money in it. So, right. I was like, Stina, I just like love your work. I have $20 in ETH sitting around. Like, would you accept something like that for your first super rare piece? And like, that was like a flattering thing back then, I assume. I mean, she sold it to me. There's a lot of stuff going on like that. It was like, a sale is just a sign of having a true fan. Like no one was really making any money selling these things on secondary artwork or whatever. And I was just like, Stina, your stuff is amazing. Like, please sell it to me. And so now I'm like, this is one of my like grail legacy pieces at this point. I'm like, dude, number one, Stina. I'm like pretty proud to have weaseled my way into wrangling that one from her. This is another one. This is just one of my favorite pieces. It's a Miss Al Simpson from Super Rare back in like 2019, and it's not like her first or anything, but Miss Al Simpson is just so cool. And this is like if you're familiar with Miss Al Simpson, this is very not her like traditional style, which I really like about it. And I don't know, it's just so gangster, man. Miss Al Simpson is just like really carries that like OG like blockchain pioneer, like I don't give a shit like swagger, and like always has like throughout this entire time. And she's still like really active and opinionated in the space. And I'm just a huge like Miss Al Simpson fan. And so and I'm like, I don't know, I got some like crazy offer on this one like a couple years ago, and I was like, I can't. This is why I'm like a crappy like NFT trader. Like shitcoins and like other stuff I'm not too bad at, but NFTs I get like emotionally attached to them, and I pass up huge bids, but I got it and I'm showing it off here and I'm proud to. And this is like sort of what it's all about, right? um so so these are all like I feel like play a role in sort of my come up in like Web3. I was proud to accumulate these, proud to like come up with these people who are still very active and doing stuff in the space with like a lot of integrity and a lot of like thought put into it. So this one here is another one that I'm super proud. This is got a story behind it. A lot of caffeine by a lot of money. So like early on, there was really no like Web3 native like charitable giving type of thing. So a guy named Love Handles, who's very active in the wax community, and I were like trying to put together a fundraiser to like feed homeless people, right? And we're like, man, we need to get a good artist on board, and if we can get a good artist on board, we'll sell some NFTs beyond what we've got. And like, dude, I know a lot of money, man, and he's always down for anything. And obviously, a lot of people here know that a lot of money passed away last year, and it was a tough time for a lot of people who came up with him in the community. But man, just to speak to this dude's character, I was like, he communicating with him was like not too bad, but English wasn't his first language. And so I'm like, yo, man, we're doing this charity thing, trying to feed some homeless people. Would you be down to kick us, some NFTs or really anything that we can put your name on it? And a lot of money whipped up like 3 custom NFTs for our charity drop. And we sold out in like 10 minutes or something like that. We raised like over $10,000 instantly to feed homeless people. Most of it to a lot of money's credit. Like we would have never obviously been able to do that if he hadn't put his name on it and everything. And it was so much money that it took us a long time to figure out what to do with it in like a responsible way. And we eventually did, with the help of a project called Jack's Hideaway that had an outfit to feed homeless people. So a lot of the money went to that, but a lot of the money wouldn't have even been there if it wasn't for this dude who was just, so crucial to Web3 and crypto art and NFTs in general. And so to be able to like collab with him and like have that in my wallet still, this is another one I get like stupid offers on periodically. And I'm like, dude, how do you even like part with something like that? So I don't know. This is why I get to call myself a collector. I pass out dumb bids on stuff I, would make a lot of money on. Thank you, Christian. So So Ty, this is like my sort of like long-winded like guided tour of trying to like explain my like collecting phase and why I got like really interested in collecting beyond the scope of trying to make a dollar or like flip NFTs. A lot of these are like priceless. I actually had the potato. Chucky, dude, Chucky is like a great dude, but Chucky is not like a well-known artist with the potato. But I had it up on OpenSea for a while and forgot about it for like 2 Ethereum or 1 Ethereum or something. And then I was checking it out and I was like, oh my God, if someone bought this potato, for 1 or 2 ETH from me, I would be so heartbroken. So I immediately like took it off the market and I'm like stuck with this potato for the rest of my life, I think. And that's all right. I'm cool with it. So yeah, so that's sort of how I ended up here. Really falling deep down the rabbit hole into NFTs, and I tried to select other ones, for the slideshow or whatever we got coming up that also have some sort of cool story or like are interesting in some capacity, or have some sort of historical relevance, something like that.
Amazing. Oh, this was great. Super cool to hear about, as everybody was saying, such specific history um, that you've experienced yourself. Very, very cool. Like outside of all the tech and, the those types of advancements and like the money and all that is real sentimental value and moments and experiences that stay with you for forever, really. So really cool to hear about yours, and thank you for sharing. Yeah, if you guys are interested in following these artists, I did drop their Twitters in the chat, but the chat is fleeting, so the Twitters aren't there anymore. But you can probably just, can you click on, oh no, you can't. Well, if you see the person's name when you scroll over the image, you can probably just copy and paste that into Twitter, and you can give those artists a follow. This today is definitely about celebrating collectors, but also, the artists that have been collected by Rizzle. Like, first of all, what an achievement! Like, that's so awesome in itself, and yeah, just celebrating them too and showing them love. So, if you like some of the art that you see, go ahead and give the artist a follow so you can see more of their work. And yeah, I think we can. Well, before we head over to the auditorium, does anybody have any questions or thoughts that they'd like to share? You can do so either in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and talk with us. Okay, no pressure. If anything comes up, feel free to chime in. But yeah, let's go on into the auditorium. Let's go. Okay. Amazing. Look at him up there in the Hall of Fame, Collector's Corner. So let me press play on this video here. There's like maybe like 20 or so pieces in this video, um, a lot of which are like GIFs. So they have some motion going on, which I love. Uh, and while we watch it, while it plays in the background, we'll ask Rizzle some more questions. If anybody else wants to chime in, so I'm not the only one talking, you're more than welcome to. And yeah, feel free to take pictures, selfies with your friends anytime. And let's get into it. So, my next question for you, Rizzle, is as a collector, what inspires you or sparks your passion to collect?
Um, so I mostly the art. That's mostly what I've been here for in terms of like NFTs is like the art side of them. I do like dabble in collectibles and have a lot of collectibles as well, which are fun. But these are like sort of extensions of stuff I've always been interested. I've always like I've got a box of rocks and sports cards and stuff from when I was a kid and enough art hanging around my house that I don't need to acquire any more physical art for anything. And so, so NFTs sort of scratched both of those itches, almost like in a more sustainable way. How many more boxes of rocks is, do I have space for sitting around the house or whatever? So it's also cool because I felt like, specifically with art, I have a wife and I have kids and everything. And so if I buy a piece of art, I have to take into consideration that like other people live here too. And like other people are going to come to my home and see this piece of art. And if I get some like really weird piece of art and like, hang it in a prominent place, like, I may like it, but it may also cause other people to think certain things or whatever. And so I like that, I could sort of form my own personal art collection, like independent of what anybody else thinks in whatever style I want. And I can cut across a million styles and it doesn't have to fit any certain sort of like anything. And a lot of, the sort of spirit early on was just sort of like supporting each other's cool stuff and innovations within the space. And you sort of see someone else do something cool or iterate on something and be like, yeah, okay, I want a piece of that. So it was really like a combination of a lot of things, but not like super far detached or different from stuff I had always been sort of participating in like the physical world, in terms of like, just trying to score cool art and collecting random things over the course of my life.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely feel that. And it's awesome, like just me sitting with all the files that you sent over, being able to see how many people have like created assets for you. Like that's so cool. Somebody made you a fire helmet. Oh, whoever's playing with the lighting, please stop. That's supposed to be a secret. How did you even Oh, that's paradox. I'm cracking up. But yeah, it's really cool to see like how many assets have been created for you, like the helmet, um, this is a crowd surfing Rizzle, and that even like just adds like puts your how long you've been in all of this into perspective. Like that was back in crypto voxels days where you were crowd surfing, and it's really cool to see how these can be like preserved on the blockchain and in your wallet. So I don't know. I'm just curious, like, how does that go about when people create something for you? Do you like ask them, or do they just make something and then it like goes into your wallet and just adds to your whole kind of vibe, your frog vibe and character, digital body and Web3?
So a lot of it has just been from being in the mix. I've certainly, so this is a chain face. This is my buddy Nate Alex's project. Um, I don't know. Maybe I can go through these a little bit. The fire helmet. A lot of these have cool stories with them. So when I set out to do something intentional, I certainly hit people up who I know can execute certain things. But like the fire helmet, when we'll get to, Frankie Needles is just a builder who's been in this space forever and hit me up and he's like, "Yo, dude, I have this idea. I'm gonna make a fire helmet. I'll make a Rizzle fire helmet, and then when you come to my bar in Decentraland, we'll have the people who own the Rizzle fire helmets. They'll be able to get like a special drink called from the bar called a Flaming Rizzle, and only their beers or whatever will actually like catch on fire if they have the fire helmet. So I've been involved in a lot of things like that. People have like this concept that they want to execute and they're like, are you down to be sort of like a guinea pig for this thing? And so here's the fire helmet now, actually. So I forget how many we distributed. We just gave them away for free. It was like some stupid thing, like on Twitter. It was like, if you want to be part of the official metaverse fire department, pledge your allegiance here, and we'll send you a fire helmet. And so we sent out like 100 free fire helmets, and so they're out there in the wild, and stuff like that just has happened to me just from being around for a long time, and I'm always flattered when stuff like that happens. So this one with like the Elmo looking thing on the whatever it is, that's that was an intentional collaboration with Mighty Moose, and where I was like putting googly eyes on things and he was like animating them, and so that was actually like a piece of this abstract carpet I have at home that I put googly eyes on, and I came up with some goofy caption for it, and we sort of did a series of these like googly eye things back in the day on Known Origin, pre eBay and getting rid of artist royalties days. Um, I can't tell who's seeing what when. This sort of like landscape one, I think is like one of the first tokenized pieces of AI art. I managed to scoop a handful of those several years ago. Uh, Again, for like almost nothing, just because I was like, ooh, AI is like learning how to make things that are like almost real looking now. And so that was a cool one. And I actually randomly met this artist like 6 months ago in Crypto Voxels at some event, and they were like, "Hey, you're the person who like launched my AI digital art like collector's notoriety or whatever." And now like Coldy owns his stuff and like a whole bunch of other like really noteworthy collectors. But another thing, back then it was just like, I got a little ETH sitting around. This is someone who's doing something cool that I haven't seen yet. Let me just try and get a little of that type of thing. And just I've hung on to some of this stuff for years.
So I have a question, and this is like in relation to the current state of things. I feel like we've been in a bear market, like, damn, it's been basically a whole year now. So I feel like energetically a lot has changed, and I feel like a lot more artists are definitely discouraged at this point to even like create any work to put on the blockchain. What do you think about all of this? Are you still inclined to like collect pieces from artists? Do you still encourage artists to mint pieces? Just like your candid thoughts on all of that.
I think we've sort of gotten back to this point where you've got to be here for the experiment and not counting, and you got to be willing to experiment, and if it works out, that's the bonus round. You make some sales type of thing, because I feel like there was a long time where there was sort of this expectation where if you got listed on a certain platform and put out your first piece of art, you were just gonna sell it for 1 ETH or something like that. And I was talking about Wizard X. Here's Skeeny on the screen now as well. These are within the context of Web3, famous artists who are back to this. Oh, yeah, I can stand on stage. Famous artists who are like back to the point of just sort of experimenting and putting out art for like Skeeny had a async art Forever Supper drop. It includes 17 NFTs. Wait, hang on. Sorry, I'm zombie walking into the wall here. Uh, put out 17 NFTs for like 0.05 for this like Forever Supper thing. And, so you got to think, even if people who are super well known, super OG within the space are, having expectations like that and still not selling out really. You got to come into the space just sort of willing to try stuff. Hang on, I'm just trying to stop zombie walking and talk at the same time. Come on, frog. Oh, here we go. So yeah. So saying all that to say, like, I mean, it's fun. I think if you're doing it in the hopes of like pivoting your career, you're probably got to have a good strategy, or it's going to be like uphill battle, or you got to like really, hit it lucky and just fall into this like, mega collector line of sight type of thing. But otherwise, if you like this stuff anyway and you're interested in it anyway, I don't think it's going anywhere. So, and if it's not cost prohibitive in terms of minting, which gas has been a pain, at least on like mainnet ETH. There's still other alternatives to be involved in the community and to mint in other places and to do things in a sustainable way. So I don't know. I feel like if I'm a collector who's like run out of wall space, I assume there's like artists who have run out of like space to create as well. And this offers just a different way to get your stuff out there.
Yeah, really great points. Thanks for sharing your perspective on that. I know that's a tough question that not a lot of people want to answer, but yeah, thank you. I would love to hear any questions or thoughts from anyone else at this time. If you guys want to chime in, feel free to. Okay. No pressure. But while we have this man here, he's done a lot of things, seen a lot of things. This is just a great chance to ask for somebody else's honest opinions and shared experiences. So I'll let you guys think if you want to. Okay, here we go. One question from Timbo in the chat.
What NFTs do I like to collect that are not on mainnet? Uh, I have a lot of NFTs on Wax. I don't I don't necessarily like it as a blockchain, but I think there are a lot of cool projects on there, and I know a lot of people from the the old NFT community who ended up spinning off over there and doing some interesting things on Wax. And it in terms of like gasless or like mostly gasless blockchains, it offers a lot of like cool, interesting things you can do with it beyond what a lot of people are used to that don't use Wax. So I have a lot of NFTs on Wax. I'm not like super active. I haven't actually bought anything on there in like quite a while. But again, that was mostly like I know an artist on there who's doing something. I know a person who's done a project on there that I want to support, type of thing, and I've just sort of like slowly accumulated stuff over there. But Wax is dope. I also have a lot of Tezos art as well. I think Tezos is like a great alternative for artists who are like put off by the minting on mainnet ETH. I'm a huge fan of Polygon, but I don't feel like they've really like galvanized the artist community in a way that the Tezos community has. But there's like some trade-offs too, because up until recently it wasn't really easy to buy or to migrate ETH to Tezos, and I think they've streamlined that a little bit. But I'm pretty I like mainnet ETH for building stuff that's substantial that I know I want to be around for a long time. But I'm like otherwise pretty blockchain agnostic in terms of like if I really want something, I'm willing to go somewhere else to get it. I've stayed away from Solana, full disclosure. I know some people like it, and I know there's some cool people and cool projects on there, but like I can't like get down with their like centralized blockchain manner, and they like shut it down a few times, and that like makes me nervous. So not trying to FUD anyone doing anything over there, but I've tried to stay away from that. Even though like every now and again this stuff you're around for a while and someone's like, yo, create a Solana wallet so I can send you something, and I'm like, all right, I don't hate them that much. I'll still take like a cool free thing, you know.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, Timbo, for that question. If anybody else has questions, feel free to ask as well.
Do I have any cool things I want to mint that's on my bucket list? Uh, that okay, actually I do. So like when I had Rizzle Fest, hosted Rizzle Fest like a month ago, I 3D scanned this bus that everyone was like tagging and spray painting the whole time. So it has like a lot of the attendees like tags and projects and like PFPs and stuff like on this bus. And so I actually took a pretty decent 3D scan of it with Polycam, and then I did the interior as well. And so I don't know enough to do all the things to it to like stitch it all together and get it like format that will seamlessly work across places. But I'm working with a guy who's helping me. So this is how a lot of things end up happening. I'm like, I really want to do this thing, and I got this good idea, and I need to like wrangle someone to help me put the finishing touches on it. So shout out Beat Miner. I don't know if he's in the audience, but he's helping me put the bus together, and then I'll probably airdrop it on Rizzle Fest attendees. I'll make it CC0 so like anybody can use it anywhere in any metaverse or whatever, and do some sort of like open edition. But like to answer your question in like a broader sense, this is sort of like how things go for me. I'm like something happens, and then I've like got this idea, and I'm like, all right, this is the thing, this is the next thing that needs to be minted that will be really cool. And clearly the bus just sort of like manifested itself. But then I had all this social media, response that was just like, we want the bus in the metaverse, like, we need the bus. So I'm trying to deliver the bus. We're getting there. That I think is next on the list.
Fire. Yeah, the bus was super cool. Great. So Rizzle is living proof that you can wear all of the hats in Web3. You can be a collector, you can be an artist, you can be a fake chief metaverse traveler, all of those things. a press person. And you can literally just like chart your own path and create anything that you want to see for yourself or for your extended community here. Physical artworks. Question from Timbo.
Man. So AI art has unlocked my lack of physical art capabilities. So in terms of like traditional art, it's really not my, not that I don't like it, I'm just not very good at it. So if I think of myself in terms of like, what sort of art do I, actually produce or whatever, I feel like a lot of my creativity is shown just through like a lot of the events that I put on. Putting together this in real life event, Rizzle Fest, was sort of like an endeavor in like creative expression and like trying to do something different within my own like tools and skill sets and everything. So I probably art in like a slightly less like traditional sense, but I don't think people. I like the AI art, I spend a lot of time like tinkering around with it. People have actually asked for like prints of it and everything, and so I'm grateful for this tool that has allowed me to like express myself in a way that like creating physical art has never really allowed me to do. But in terms of like true physical art, I don't think you want my physical art. The world doesn't need that.
Very interesting question and interesting answer, that we can even ask such things, because I feel like 2, 3, 4 years ago it was all physical art. And now it's like, wow, you can do so much with these digital pieces. But amazing. So yeah, if there's any more questions, we can feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll ask my final question. And you guys can just kind of explore, look around the space as you wish, and we can call it a day. So yeah, any other thoughts or questions from folks? All right, cool. I love how it looks like you have 2 bodyguards on stage with you, Rizzle.
I do. Just in case anyone tries to take my art.
Guest 38 asked a question in the chat.
What's your view on platform displays of digital art? Help me out, guest 38, meaning like displays on like digital frames or like phone versus. Oh. I mean, so I think digital art has sort of been like bucketed along with like other NFTs and like collectibles and everything, and sort of been fed into this like casino feed with like OpenSea Pro and Blur. I don't I don't have any ill will towards Foundation or Super Rare. I hold stuff from both of them, but I don't actually interact with their platforms a ton. Um, However, I know Super Rare, for example, sort of at least historically has like had a more like art forward type of display. But even places like Blur and OpenSea, you may have to toggle a couple things, but they do allow you to look at stuff a little bit bigger. But I think this is just sort of like the unfortunate like progression of the space where collectibles are the thing that brought the most money in, and because digital art, crypto art sort of falls under that same category by proxy in terms of like being a collectible, it gets put into this like these itty bitty thumbnails that are basically you might as well be just trading meme coins or whatever on some of these like quote unquote pro marketplaces. So I mean, I don't think those might be some of the places to get the best deals on art, truthfully, but they aren't certainly the best to display it. I try and like, if I really want to show someone something though, I'm not opening it up in a marketplace. I'm trying, I'll take the extra 10 seconds to, get the high res and widescreen it or something along those lines. But I don't think any of these platforms, unless they're, here to be art forward, are really like, they're doing like the bare minimum to do the artwork justice.
Yeah, I agree. Great questions, everyone. Thank you guys for asking
Yeah,
these.
appreciate them.
But yeah, I think we have time for like one more question, if there is one, before we ask the final question. Let's go. There's one in the chat.
Is the future for artists? Is the future for artists own platforms like Manifold, Mona? Sort of. I think. I think Manifold sort of offers that like level of you own your own smart contract, and it's like really your own thing, but also having done a few drops on Manifold and like worked with Manifold before, like it's awesome, but it's also like really not like user friendly in terms of like someone who is just an artist coming into the space and they're like, I want to mint an NFT and, tell all my friends about it. And then, you send them to Manifold and they're confronted with like 6,000 options of like how to go about this. So I think there's always going to be sort of like a need for a bridge between something that's not totally self custody or your own like self owned contracts and that thing, at least until there's a much more user friendly process to sort of own your own smart contract and work from within that in like a way that's not like crazy confusing. So maybe eventually, but I think we're going to be in sort of this like hybrid position where like for the real geeks and nerds and people who care about smart contracts, they're going to find their way to something that allows them to, have sole ownership of it. But in the meantime, there's probably a lot more people who are like, I'm just trying to make an NFT and like even, just see what happens and then take it from there. And we need people to cater to that as well.
Amazing. So cool. Let me ask my final question here, which you kind of just touched on a little bit, but with this activation today, Collectors Corner, it just has me thinking about like how collectors can be better celebrated. So I would love to ask you how you think the culture, Web3 culture, can better celebrate collectors and even artists alike, if at all.
I I think it's a good question. I feel like at least I was very flattered to be asked to be part of this, honestly, because like I was saying in the beginning, a lot of the collectors that have gotten the most attention, and not knocking them in any way, but a lot of the collectors who get the most attention are the ones throwing down like a ton of money, and because of that, or making huge sales, right, and that kind of thing. And again, not that there's anything wrong with them or that necessarily, but I think there's a lot of collectors out there like myself who have like a pretty vast collection that they're very proud of and would really appreciate the opportunity to talk about it and show it off, because I've been rambling by myself here practically with some good questions from Ty for like 48 minutes or whatever, just on my own collection. And like I said, I could probably keep going for like a month straight, because the people who genuinely care about collecting, love their collection and appreciate the stuff that they have collected. And I think there's a lot of people out there like myself who, would really enjoy the opportunity to talk about what's meaningful to them, and why they collected certain things. And I don't know, it sort of completes the cycle. It's like, I love this stuff. I've collected all this stuff, and wow, cool. Now I get this like dope opportunity to like show it off and tell everybody about it. And I think a lot of people would find that to be really fun. So stuff like this is cool and appreciated.
Amazing. Thank you, Rizzle. It's been so lovely to dive into your history and your journey as a collector. I mean, as a multi-hat wearing digital Web3 Renaissance man. So thank you for sharing. I hope that everybody was able to learn something today or get inspired by something that was shared. But yeah, I think the biggest takeaway for me is just, keep experimenting and keep showing up until whatever you're trying just works for you. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. This has been Collector's Corner, our first one, featuring Rizzle. Thank you for being the best guinea pig out there, letting us try this event with you. And this has been the Monatorium, brand new Mona World built by TME. So thank you all for coming and experiencing this world for the first time with us. If you're interested in events like this, we do have more coming up this week. Actually, later today, we have a workshop with TME on building. That'll be going on our YouTube at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you can't make it, it will be recorded. Tomorrow, Rizzle will be leading Break Things World with Fractillions. If you want to share a little bit about what you guys will be doing tomorrow, would love to hear that too.
We will be breaking things. I don't believe we know what things we'll be breaking yet. But yeah, if you, same time as this started tomorrow, if you're around, come hang out in the Monaverse Discord, and we add whatever we break to the same world each week. So it's like this running experiment of breaking things and adding them all to the same place, and like running around on them and stuff. So yeah, if you're around tomorrow, same time, come hang out.
Let's go. Yep. Those are always a good time. So 10 out of 10 recommend. And then on Thursday, we have our final visual scripting workshop of this current series led by Memory. And then there will be a special guest. Scube will be joining Memory on Thursday. I forget the time, but if you join our Discord, you'll be able to set your reminder for that. And let me just drop Mona's Twitter into the chat. So if you go to our Twitter page, you can go to our link tree, which has all of the links necessary to join our Discord and everything like that. But yeah, thank you guys. This has been amazing.